Most of the people who read our paper read it online. One of the positive things about that, people don't have to wait. There's breaking news. We can get that story up as soon as I get a news release, or we have a reporter right on the scene. They can call it in and say what's going on. We can get that online.
Welcome to episode 92 of the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skiven. As we get started, I'd like to recognize the LoraineCounty.com champion sponsors for their ongoing support. Lorain County Commissioners, Lorain County JVS, Community Foundation of Lorain County, Emerge Inc., Lorain County Community College, and WOBL Radio. Today, we are talking with Darryl Tucker, Managing Editor of the Morning Journal. Join us as Darryl talks about the inner workings of the Morning Journal, his role in guiding editorial decisions, and the importance of highlighting positive stories in the community. He also shares how the paper is adapting to the digital age, discusses the evolving landscape of local journalism, and offers insight into his involvement with the Mary Lee Tucker Clothe-a-Child program. Growing up in Lorain, we received the Journal every day at our house. When I was young, my dad served on the Lorain City Council, and as soon as I learned how, I became an avid reader of the Journal, probably just to see if his name was in the paper. Like many kids back then, my first job was delivering the paper. At just 12 years old, I walked or rode my bike to deliver the paper to almost every house in the neighborhood. Every other Saturday was collection day, which meant going door to door to ask for the $3.40 owed for 2 weeks of the paper. Obviously, things have changed since then. Today, Darryl Tucker is leading the Morning Journal into a new era of local journalism, an era where digital delivery is outpacing print delivery. Local advertising sales are competing with lots of new options, and celebrating the community matters more than chasing sensational headlines. I have served alongside Darryl for many years on the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce Board of Trustees. He is very active and involved in many organizations and causes that make our county strong. He has also been a strong supporter of our company, often publishing articles on our company's milestones and successes. Here is my conversation with Darryl Tucker.
My name is Darryl Quentin Tucker, Darryl Q. Tucker. I'm the managing editor for the Morning Journal newspaper here in Lorain, Ohio, and also president of the Mary Lee Tucker Clothe-a-Child.
Welcome, Darryl. Thanks for joining us and sharing your insights. Could you provide an overview of the Morning Journal?
Yeah, we're a daily newspaper. We've been around a long time, going back to the 19th century. I don't have the date when we were created, but we're a daily newspaper serving all of Lorain County, western Cuyahoga County, northern Huron County, and eastern Erie County.
Can you describe your role and responsibilities as managing editor? What does a typical day look like running the paper?
Typical day for me involves making sure that we have content for the next day. That could entail assigning reporter stories, or if we get a news release from an organization or someone, if I feel as though it's worthy of a story, we will contact that individual or organization to get additional information. And part of the day involves editing stories and making sure that we don't have any lawsuits, of making sure that the content that we're disseminating to the public is accurate and truthful and compelling as well.
Can you walk us through how your team decides which stories to cover, and what does the process look like as those stories are reported and edited for publication?
I used to meet with the reporters daily, but now we meet maybe twice a week to talk about what stories that we want to have in the paper. Usually, I would say 75% of the time now, the reporters get their own stories. I don't have to do much assigning stories. However, if there's something pressing or breaking news, I will assign a story to a reporter, and whatever they're working on, they'll just hold it back for a day. But when we get together and talk via Zoom, sometimes they come into the office and we meet. We just talk about what we're going to have for the next day. And then on Thursday is a mandatory meeting, because on Friday, we're getting the paper ready for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I need to know what they're working on for the weekend. And of course, we also cover events on the weekend. Usually the reporters have an idea what they want to cover, but if there's something I think is more newsworthy or pressing, I will give that to them, and then we will hold off on running their story.
The Morning Journal serves a diverse community in Lorain County. How do you engage with local readers and ensure your coverage reflects the community's needs and interests?
One thing about the Journal, in the last 12 years, we've focused on the positive stories that are taking place in the community. What I mean by that is the reporters go out looking for the stories where people don't get a lot of recognition. For instance, just a story I was editing today, an individual won, or local author won an award. I would say before 12 years ago, we would not have run that story. But what we do now, we go into the community, and by that, I mean, we search social media, we get news and releases, anything that people are doing positive, we try to get it in the paper. Because like I said, we try to focus on the people who won't necessarily get the notoriety, the positive feedback. Yeah, we cover council meetings. We have to cover the crime, but we don't always cover the people who are the John Doe who's doing just great things in the community. That's part of what we do.
What was it that changed 12 years ago to switch that direction?
12 years ago, I started here. 12 years ago, September 23rd, 2013. And my current boss hired me because of my community background. Yeah, I cover courts, I cover police, cover business, but my focus was on the community at the 6 other newspapers that I work for. And they thought that I would be a good fit to go out into the community to get those stories, to cultivate those stories of what people are doing well and doing good in the community. Not the crime, but my bosses before I got here made a decision that they wanted to focus on the community. And we're really considered a community newspaper. We found our niche. One of the new things that we started earlier this year, a section called On the Job, where we would interview someone doing their job. And we would go out sometimes. Well, we should go out every time, but we don't. So we have to do an interview over the phone. But we go out into the community and interview someone about what they do every day. Matter of fact, I will share with you that the first one we did this year, I did it just so that we could have a template for how I wanted the reporters to do it. And the individual, his name is Mark Wilson. He's the executive chef at the Editorial Broadway Hotel. So I went over there, talked to him, got pictures of him. He was making up some type of concoction. I don't know what it was, but we got just a real nice story about what he does every day to prepare for the customers that come to dine at the hotel.
What role do you believe local journalism plays in building community trust and encouraging civil engagement?
Oh, that's still important. Let me start by saying social media, you can't trust. We're a source that people can trust. We are trained to interview people, to write stories. We have to go to college for that. Social media, you don't need that. All you have to do is say something and it goes into the stratosphere, and sometimes people believe it and sometimes they don't. I just tell people be careful with what you read, but what you can have faith in is knowing that the Morning Journal and other established media organizations will go out and get the truth. And we try to be as balanced as possible. Other news sources don't. People can always comment on stories because we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, X, and we have our own website where people can comment on stories.
There's a number of major development projects locally, including the waterfront redevelopment in Lorain, Midway Mall redevelopment in Elyria, the mega site in New Russia Township. What economic development stories has the Morning Journal been following, and what do they signal about the area's future?
We try to take a positive view on things as far as the waterfront development. It's not just here at the Black River Landing, but it's also at the boat launch that they're renovating that. The mega site. We just want to make sure that people get the correct information. And, when it comes to giving our opinion, that's where I come in and I can write an editorial on it. I've written editorials supporting not only riverfront, but lakefront development.
I know in addition to news, you guys are very active in the community. You want to talk about some of the ways in which you're involved in the community?
The Journal is somewhat active. I'm more active because I'm affiliated with the Journal. As many people know, I'm the president of the Mary Lee Tucker Clothe-a-Child. We've been around since 1924. And what we do with that program is we buy brand new clothing and footwear for low-income children at wintertime. Most of the donations come from the generosity of our readers. We put an appeal in the paper right after Thanksgiving, asking people for donations so that we can go out and purchase these items for low-income children. Last year, we shot for almost 300. I think we came up 4 short. We're not starting off the year with a lot of money, so we decided to pare back the goal a little. This year, it seemed like the donations are coming in as much as we would like. We would like to get to that 300 mark if possible, but at this time, it doesn't look like it. But want to donate to the Mary Lee Tucker Clothe-a-Child, just write a check to Mary Lee Tucker. We're at 387 Broadway, Suite A. The post office recently changed our address from 401 Broadway, Suite B to 387 Broadway, Suite A. Any donation we accept. Got $1, we'll take that. Got $100, we'll take that.
I'm assuming the Tucker name is no relation.
Tucker name, unfortunately, is no relation. The name is fictitious. The reporter at the time in 1924 who started the program, she was a Morning Journal reporter. Still don't know where she came up with the name, but when I got here 12 years ago, I learned about the program and started. I wasn't initially on the board when I first got here, but they said I could help. But I didn't do much help. Maybe a year or two before our publisher, Jeff Sudbrook, left, I started helping out with the foundation. And then when he left, they appointed me the president of the board. And I've tried to expand it. And then my wife, her name was Joanne Eldridge Tucker, we had some employment changes with the foundation. She decided she would step up and help me out. And she became the coordinator. And in essence, she became Mary Lee Tucker. Kids, they do think she's Mary Lee. Not only children, but there are some adults who think Joanne is Mary Lee Tucker. We've been around since 1924, and Joanne is not that old. But as far as the journal, we're involved with the chamber, Lorain County Chamber of Commerce, and a couple of other chambers around here. We are sponsors of events like the Second Harvest Food Bank of North Central Ohio, their Generous Helpings. We're sponsors of Mercy Health, their Taste of Friendship. I think it's called just Taste now. We're sponsors of Lorain County Free Clinic, sponsors of their annual steak fry. And there are a couple of others. But me personally, because I'm involved, the journal is involved. I'm the secretary for the Mercy Health Board of Directors. I'm on the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce. I'm on Growth Main Street, Lorain County Community College Foundation. I'm also the current chair of the French Creek YMCA, which I'm going to be coming off, and Sharon Pearson's going to be the new chair.
Local newspapers give a boost to small businesses. How does the Morning Journal support, and what are the options for local businesses?
Advertise. Mom and pop businesses are the backbone of the economy. Like to support them as much as we can, but they really should advertise because we have a good reach. We're still a daily newspaper. We print every day. Our copies go out to homes every day, go to stores every day. We have a good, large readership online. If people want to advertise, we have a good reach. If a new business is opening up, they can reach out to us at news@morningjournal.com and request the coverage. And I can't think of one time in my dozen years I've been here that I turned down anyone. We promote Lorain. We just want to make sure that if you open a business, we want to help you promote it.
You've mentioned print, digital, and social media. How have you adapted your distribution methods as readers' habits have changed?
Most of the people who read our paper read it online, but we have to adapt to that. And one of the positive things about that is that people don't have to wait a day to get their news. You don't have to wait for a whole news cycle. You can get it as soon as we get the story edited, we can put it online. For instance, there's breaking news that's happening. We can get that story up as soon as I get a news release, or we have a reporter right on the scene. They can call it in and say what's going on. We can get that online, and we can update it throughout the day, all the way up until deadline. And then, unfortunately, everything that we do up until deadline would be in the next day's paper. Sometimes we get information after deadline, so it may have to wait a news. But online, you don't have to.
Let's switch over and talk a little bit about you. What's your background and what led you to position at the Morning Journal?
In college, I actually studied political science, but I realized that I didn't want to pursue that anymore. So I was working as a computer operator, and I ran into the editor of a weekly newspaper in Toledo and told him that I didn't have any newspaper background, but I would like to become a reporter. He said, it just so happens that I'm looking for a reporter without journalism background. He got tired of these journalism majors coming in, telling him how to run his own newspaper. He said, I'm looking for someone that I could teach them the way I want. And he gave me a writing test. I passed it. I worked there for 7 or 8 years. And in 1994, I went to work at the Lima News in Lima, Ohio. Worked there for a few years. And then after that, I got a job for the Saginaw News in Saginaw, Michigan. Stayed there for 13 years. Took a buyout in 2009, and I worked for a couple other newspapers in Michigan, the Hillsdale Daily News and the Grand Blanc View. And then after that, I went back to Toledo to work at the Journal again. And then I ended up at the Morning Journal.
So you said you've been here for 12 years. What are you most proud of accomplishing in that time?
Downtown development, even though it goes in spurts, it goes up and down. But I think after I got here, I had the reporters write stories about what could be done in downtown Lorraine, encouraging businesses to open up, relocate, add another location. It's still happening. Unfortunately, they open and close. We would like to stay open. Even when I decide I'm going to hang it up here, to know that I helped at the Journal, helped to spur economic development again downtown.
How would you describe your leadership style? Who or what has influenced your leadership approach the most?
I've gone through different styles. When I first got here, I was kind of like my mentor. It was really tough, rough, and gruff. And I found out that doesn't work with young people. So I had to adapt and change. And now I'm more laid back and I am more willing to listen to people and have them explain to me why they think something should go a certain way. Before it was like, it was either my way or it's not going to run. So I've adapted to that. The older I get, the more laid back I am. My mentor, I tried to follow his style and it got me into trouble. So in order to not get in trouble anymore, I had to adapt and it has worked.
Outside of work, what are your hobbies and interests and how do they help recharge you?
If you know me, I'm an avid golfer. Every chance I get, I try to play golf. Or if I don't play, I try to go to the driving range. That recharges me. I go to the gym almost every day. That helps. And I love going to sporting events, all kinds, basketball, football, baseball, hockey. I haven't really gone to a soccer game, but now that we got a new team coming in April, I plan to go out to the Crusher Stadium and watch them. But I thought about playing pickleball, but the lateral movement, I don't think will allow my old knees to take it. So I decided I will just continue to work out at the gym and play golf.
Finally, where can people go to get more information on the Morning Journal and connect with you?
morningjournal.com. If you ever want to shoot me an email, dtucker@morningjournal.com or news, NEWS, at morningjournal.com. That's the best way to reach us, me or anyone at the Journal. My phone number is 440-219-0723.
Thank you, Darryl, for joining us and sharing your insights.
Welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast. Each episode, we share conversations with the people shaping life in Lorain County, from business and government to education, nonprofits, healthcare, and entertainment. Be sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. You can also visit LoraineCounty.com to discover local events, volunteer opportunities, and more community resources. If you know someone who's making a difference in Lorain County, send us a note at podcast@LoraineCounty.com. We would love to share their story and insights. Special thanks to our producer, Leah Gerke, and to you for listening. This has been the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast, conversations with the people shaping Lorain County.